6 ways chronic stress sneaks into daily life after retirement. If you stay with me until the end of this video, you'll be able to spot the hidden stress signals most retirees miss, understand why they show up after retirement, and learn one simple mindset shift that can quietly restore your peace, energy, and joy without medication, complicated routines, or pressure to stay busy. This isn't about fear, it's about clarity, and clarity changes everything. Retirement is supposed to feel like freedom. No alarm clocks, no deadlines, no bosses. And yet many people quietly tell me, I don't know why, but I feel tense, unsettled, tired in a way I can't explain. If that sounds familiar, you're not broken and you're not alone. Chronic stress doesn't disappear when work ends. It simply changes its disguise. In today's video, we're going to gently uncover 6 subtle ways chronic stress sneaks into daily life after retirement, especially for those in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. These are not dramatic warning signs. They're small, everyday moments. How you wake up, how you think, how your body reacts that slowly drain joy if left unnoticed. You might already know some of these. They might even seem basic at first, but the results are out of this world when you finally see how they connect. So take a breath. Settle in, and let's begin with the first way stress quietly enters retirement without knocking on the door. The loss of daily structure. The first way chronic stress sneaks into retirement is through something most people never expect to miss: structure. For decades, your days likely followed a rhythm. Wake up, get dressed, go somewhere, be needed. When retirement arrives, that structure disappears almost overnight. At first, it feels wonderful. Sleeping in feels earned. Days feel wide open. But over time, the nervous system can start to feel unanchored. The human brain, especially as we age, finds comfort in gentle predictability. Without it, even small decisions can quietly exhaust us. What should I do today? When should I eat? Should I rest or be productive? These questions may seem harmless, but answering them all day long creates low-level tension that never fully turns off. Many retirees tell me they feel lazy or unmotivated, when in reality, their body is craving a soft framework, not a rigid schedule, not pressure, just a sense of flow. Without it, cortisol, the stress hormone, can remain slightly elevated, leading to poor sleep, irritability, or that constant feeling of being off. What's tricky is that this stress doesn't feel dramatic. It feels quiet, invisible. You may just notice more sighing, more fatigue, or a vague sense that time is slipping through your fingers. That's not weakness. That's biology asking for rhythm. Understanding this is powerful because once you see it, you've stopped blaming yourself and start working with your nervous system instead of against it. Financial worry without a clear trigger. The second way chronic stress sneaks into retirement is through money thoughts that arrive without warning. Even if you planned well, even if you're doing fine, even if the numbers technically add up. Retirement shifts how we relate to money, and that shift alone can quietly raise stress levels. Before retirement, income usually flowed in regularly. There was a sense, real or imagined, that adjustments could be made. After retirement, money often feels more fragile. Savings now have a direction down. That awareness can sit in the back of the mind like a low hum, never loud enough to panic, but always present. This kind of stress often shows up as hesitation. You delay purchases, you feel guilty enjoying things, you replay conversations with yourself. Do I really need this? Over time, that internal negotiation becomes exhausting. It can even create tension between partners, especially when spending habits differ. What makes this stress especially sneaky is that it doesn't always connect to reality. It connects to uncertainty. The future feels longer and shorter at the same time. Healthcare costs, inflation, longevity, the brain fills in the gaps and the body reacts as if danger is near. You might notice tight shoulders while paying bills, a faster heartbeat when checking accounts, or a sense of relief that never fully lasts. This isn't about being ungrateful, it's about how the mind responds when control feels limited. Awareness here is the first step toward calm because stress thrives in vagueness, not facts. Social circles quietly shrinking. The third way chronic stress enters retirement is through social changes that happen slowly, almost invisibly. Work provided more than income. It provided connection, casual conversations, shared goals, a sense of belonging. When that ends, social interaction often drops far more than people expect. At first, solitude can feel peaceful, but over time, fewer check-ins, fewer invitations, and fewer reasons to leave the house can affect emotional balance. Humans are wired for connection, especially in later life. When that need isn't met, the body can interpret it as a form of threat, even if the mind insists everything is fine. This stress doesn't always feel like loneliness. Sometimes it feels like restlessness. Other times it shows up as overthinking or irritability. You may replay old conversations or feel oddly sensitive to small slights. These are subtle signals that connection has thinned. What makes this especially challenging is pride. Many older adults hesitate to reach out. They don't want to bother anyone. They don't want to seem needy. But silence has weight, and over time, that weight becomes stress stored in the body. You might notice it as tension in the chest, shallow breathing, or a heaviness in the evenings. None of this means something is wrong with you. It means your nervous system is asking for warmth and presence. Recognizing this pattern doesn't mean forcing social activity. It means understanding that meaningful connection, small and simple acts, act like medicine for the aging nervous system. Identity loss after leaving a role. The fourth way chronic stress sneaks into retirement is through identity loss. For many people, work wasn't just a job, it was a role, a title, a way of being useful in the world. When that role ends, the question, "Who am I now?" can surface quietly but persistently. This stress often hides behind statements like, "I feel a little empty," or "I don't know what I'm supposed to do anymore." There may be a sense of drifting, even on good days. Without realizing it, the mind searches for validation that used to come automatically. The body responds to this uncertainty. Stress hormones increase when purpose feels unclear. Motivation drops. Even hobbies that once felt enjoyable may lose their spark, not because you don't care, but because your identity is reorganizing. What's important to understand is that this phase is natural. Identity transitions are stressful at any age, but in retirement, society doesn't always acknowledge it. People expect happiness, gratitude, relaxation. That pressure can make stress feel like a personal failure instead of a normal adjustment. You might notice this stress as mental fog, low energy, or a subtle sadness that comes and goes. It doesn't mean you need to do more. It means your inner compass is recalibrating. When identity shifts are honored instead of rushed, stress begins to soften, clarity replaces confusion, and a quieter, deeper sense of purpose has room to emerge. Unstructured time, increasing rumination. The fifth way chronic stress appears after retirement is through something called rumination, repetitive thinking. With more unstructured time, the mind has more space to wander. Unfortunately, it doesn't always wander to peaceful places. Old memories resurface, regrets replay. What-if scenarios multiply? The brain, no longer occupied by daily demands, turns inward. This can feel like reflection at first, but over time it becomes mentally draining. The body reacts as if those thoughts are happening in the present moment. You may notice your heart rate increase while sitting quietly, or tension while lying in bed. This isn't because something bad is happening now, it's because the nervous system doesn't distinguish between imagined stress and real stress. What makes this tricky is that rumination feels productive. It feels like problem solving, but most of the time it goes in circles, and those circles quietly wear down emotional resilience. Many retirees tell me they feel more anxious for no reason. This is often the reason. The mind has time but no direction, and without guidance, it defaults to worry. The solution isn't to stop thinking. That's impossible. It's to gently redirect attention toward the present. Understanding this pattern alone can reduce stress because it removes the fear that something is wrong with your mind. Your brain is simply doing what it's trained to do, protect you. It just needs new cues. Sleep changes, creating a stress loop. The sixth way chronic stress sneaks into retirement is through changes in sleep. Sleep patterns naturally shift with age, but retirement can amplify those changes. Without a fixed wake-up time, bedtimes drift, naps increase, and suddenly sleep feels unpredictable. Poor sleep raises cortisol levels. Elevated cortisol disrupts sleep. This creates a quiet loop that's easy to miss. You may feel tired during the day but wired at night, or you wake up early with your mind racing, even when there's nowhere you need to be. This kind of stress is especially frustrating because it feels out of your control. You're resting, you're not rushing, and yet your body won't settle. Over time, sleep anxiety can develop. Worrying about sleep becomes another stressor. The body interprets irregular sleep as instability. It stays alert just in case. That alertness spills into daytime hours, showing up as fatigue, forgetfulness, or irritability. Many older adults normalize this, assuming it's just aging, but chronic sleep disruption isn't harmless. It quietly affects mood, memory, and immune health. The key insight here is that sleep doesn't improve through effort. It improves through consistency and safety signals to the nervous system. When the body feels secure, rest follows naturally. Understanding this connection helps remove blame and opens the door to gentle change. Health awareness turning into hypervigilance. The seventh way stress appears after retirement is through increased focus on the body. With more time and fewer distractions, physical sensations become louder. every ache, flutter, or change can draw attention and sometimes concern. This heightened awareness can slowly turn into hypervigilance. You check in with your body constantly. You scan for symptoms. You wonder what's normal and what isn't. Even when nothing is wrong, the nervous system stays on alert. This kind of stress often disguises itself as responsibility. I'm just being careful. And care is important, but when monitoring becomes constant, the body interprets it as danger nearby. You may notice shallow breathing, muscle tension, or frequent doctor's visits that bring reassurance only briefly. The relief fades, and the cycle starts again. What's happening is not weakness or fear, it's the brain trying to protect what matters most, your health. But without balance, that protection becomes exhausting. Over time, this stress can reduce enjoyment of daily life. Simple moments feel fragile, relaxation feels risky, and peace feels conditional. Learning to notice this pattern with kindness, not judgment, allows the nervous system to stand down. The body doesn't need constant surveillance, it needs trust. That trust can be rebuilt gently with awareness and simple daily cues of safety. Feeling less needed in the world. The eighth way stress enters retirement is through a quiet sense of being less needed. Society often defines value through productivity. When work ends, that message can sink in deeply, even if you intellectually reject it. This stress doesn't shout, it whispers. It shows up as a subtle sadness when days pass quickly, or a longing to contribute without knowing how. The body responds to perceived insignificance as a form of social threat. You may feel tension in the chest or a heaviness in the mornings, not depression, not despair, just a sense of fading into the background. What's important to understand is that meaning doesn't disappear in retirement, it changes shape. But until that new shape is recognized, stress fills the gap. Many older adults underestimate how deeply being needed regulated their nervous system. Purpose creates stability. Without it, the body stays slightly unsettled, waiting for direction. This isn't about volunteering more or staying busy. It's about feeling that your presence matters right now as you are. When that truth is gently reinforced, stress begins to release, energy returns, and days feel fuller even when they're quiet. Emotional suppression for the sake of others. The ninth way chronic stress sneaks into retirement is through emotional suppression. Many people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s grew up learning to stay strong and not burden others. That habit doesn't disappear with age, it intensifies. You may downplay worries. You may avoid sharing fears with family. You tell yourself others have it worse. Over time, unexpressed emotion settles into the body as tension. This stress often appears as tight jaws, headaches, digestive issues, or chronic fatigue. The emotions aren't gone, they're stored, and storage takes energy. What makes this especially challenging is love. You don't want to worry your children. You don't want to seem negative, so you carry it alone. But the nervous system doesn't release stress through silence. It releases through acknowledgement. Being seen by yourself or others signals safety. You might already know this, it might even seem basic, but the results are out of this world when you allow yourself to feel without judgment. Recognizing this pattern is the beginning of relief. You don't need to explain everything. You just need permission to be human, and that permission changes how the body holds stress, slowly, gently, and profoundly. when quiet days turn into emotional flatness. The 10th way chronic stress sneaks into retirement is emotional flatness. Not sadness, not anxiety, just a dull, muted feeling where days blend together. Many retirees describe it as fine but not joyful. This state is often misunderstood as contentment, but biologically, it can be a stress response. When the nervous system has been under low-level stress for a long time, it sometimes protects itself by turning the volume down on emotions. High highs and low lows both feel risky, so the body chooses neutral, safe, flat. You may notice that things you once enjoyed don't quite land the same way. Music doesn't move you as deeply. Conversations feel shorter. Time passes quickly, but without texture. This isn't aging, it's adaptation. What's tricky is that emotional flatness rarely triggers concern. There's no obvious pain, but over time it reduces engagement with life, and disengagement quietly feeds stress because the body thrives on meaning and stimulation. Many older adults blame themselves for this. They think they should be grateful. They think something is wrong with their attitude. In reality, the nervous system is tired and conserving energy. Simply recognizing emotional flatness as a signal, not a flaw, can begin to thaw it. Awareness alone invites curiosity, and curiosity gently brings color back into daily life. Stress loosens when emotions are allowed to return, slowly, at their own pace. Decision fatigue in easy days. The 11th way stress appears after retirement is decision fatigue. Retirement is often described as a time of fewer responsibilities, but paradoxically, it can require more decisions. Without routines set by work, every day asks questions. What should I eat? When should I go out? Should I rest or move? Should I call someone or wait? These choices seem small, but they add up. Each decision requires mental energy, and when energy runs low, stress rises. This often shows up as procrastination or irritability. You may delay simple tasks or feel annoyed by choices that never bothered you before. The body interprets constant decision-making as pressure. For older adults, decision fatigue is especially taxing because cognitive energy naturally changes with age. The brain works beautifully, but it values efficiency. Too many options feel overwhelming. This stress hides behind phrases like, "I just don't feel like doing anything today." That's not laziness. That's a nervous system asking for simplicity. Reducing choices, even small ones, can dramatically lower daily stress. Predictable meals, regular walk times, familiar routines. These aren't limitations, they're gifts to the aging brain. When decisions decrease, mental space opens, and in that space, calm has room to return. Grief that was never fully processed. The 12th way chronic stress sneaks into retirement is unresolved grief. Retirement often coincides with losses, friends, family members, physical abilities, or familiar versions of yourself. Even positive transitions can awaken old grief that was never fully felt. During working years, there was distraction. Now, with more quiet, emotions surface. Memories appear without warning, a song, a smell, a date on the calendar. The body reacts before the mind understands why. Unprocessed grief doesn't always look like sadness. It can look like fatigue, a tight chest, a sense of heaviness that comes and goes. The nervous system holds on to loss until it feels safe enough to release it. Many older adults minimize their grief. They say that was a long time ago, but time alone doesn't heal. Acknowledgement does. This kind of stress is deeply human. It means you loved, you cared, you lived fully. There's nothing weak about that. When grief is gently recognized, stress softens. Tears, whether shed or held back, carry release. The body exhales. If you're still watching and this resonates with you, pause for a moment. Take a breath. And if you feel comfortable, type 1 in the comments below. It simply tells me you're here, present, and honoring your experience. Comparing your retirement to others. The 13th way stress enters retirement is through comparison. Even later in life, the mind compares. Who's traveling more? Who looks healthier? Who seems happier? Social media, conversations, and even family updates can quietly trigger this stress. Comparison activates the same brain regions as threat. The body tightens, confidence drops, satisfaction fades, and all of this can happen in seconds without conscious thought. Many retirees feel they should be enjoying life more. When reality doesn't match expectation, stress fills the gap. You may question your choices, your pace, your worth. What's important to remember is that comparison ignores context, health histories, personal values, invisible struggles. Everyone's retirement looks different because everyone's life has been different. This stress often appears as self-criticism or restlessness, a feeling that something is missing. But what's missing isn't achievement, it's permission to live at your rhythm. When comparison loosens its grip, the nervous system relaxes, appreciation returns, and peace stops being conditional. Your life doesn't need to look impressive, it needs to feel aligned. The pressure to age well. The 14th way chronic stress sneaks into retirement is the pressure to age well. Stay active, stay sharp, stay positive. While these messages are well-intentioned, they can create constant performance anxiety. You may feel guilty resting. You may push your body past comfort. You may hide struggles to appear strong. This pressure keeps the nervous system on edge, always trying to meet an invisible standard. Aging is not a competition, but modern culture often treats it like one, and that creates stress, especially for those who value responsibility and self-reliance. You might notice tension when you miss a walk, or frustration when your body needs more rest. That's not discipline, that's fear of decline. True health in later life comes from listening, not forcing. The body changes, and when those changes are met with compassion, stress decreases naturally. Letting go of performance allows aging to become cooperative instead of combative, and cooperation feels safe to the nervous system. Safety, not effort, restores balance. Anticipatory stress about the future. The 15th way stress appears after retirement is anticipatory stress. Worry about what hasn't happened yet. Health changes, dependency, loneliness. The mind looks ahead and fills in blanks. This stress often shows up during quiet moments. Late evenings, early mornings, the body reacts as if the future is already here. Anticipatory stress steals peace from the present. It keeps the nervous system alert, scanning for problems that may never come. Planning is healthy, worry is not. The difference lies in how the body feels. Planning feels grounded, worry feels tight. Learning to recognize this distinction is powerful because the body only needs to respond to now, not every possible tomorrow. When attention gently returns to the present, stress loses fuel. The most overlooked stress multiplier in retirement. Now, here's something rarely talked about, and it matters deeply. The 16th and most overlooked stress multiplier in retirement is lack of nervous system recovery, not rest, not sleep, recovery. Most people assume sitting or watching television equals recovery, but true recovery is when the nervous system feels safe enough to fully downshift. Without that, stress accumulates, even on calm days. This is why some retirees feel tired despite doing nothing. The body never fully resets. Recovery requires signals of safety, slow breathing, gentle movement, emotional expression, and meaningful presence. Without these, stress quietly compounds. You might already know this. It might even seem basic, but the results are out of this world when recovery becomes intentional. This insight sets the stage for what comes next. The optimal method. The most effective method to reduce chronic stress after retirement is daily nervous system regulation. Small, consistent practices that tell the body, I am safe now. Not willpower, not positivity, regulation. This is the foundation everything else rests on. The one thing that changes everything. And here is the most important point of this entire video. When chronic stress after retirement is addressed at the nervous system level, not the mindset level, everything changes. Sleep improves, thoughts soften, joy returns quietly, without effort. You don't need to fix your life. You need to support your system. When the body feels safe, the mind follows. If this message resonated with you, type 2 in the comments below and let me know you're ready to choose calm over constant tension. And if you haven't already, subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who may need it more than they realize. Your peace matters, and it's never too late to reclaim it.